Hey, good afternoon, class. Today we're going to be talking about the Boston Massacre. Can anyone tell me a little bit about the Boston Massacre before we start? Nick.
Lots of people get killed.
Exactly. By who? Okay, we're going to talk about that today. The first date we're going to talk about is March 5th, 1770, which is the exact day that the Boston Massacre happened. This day is when the colonists gathered in Boston Commons. There's a few colonists that gathered, and they were throwing snowballs at on-duty British soldiers, which prompted the British soldiers to shoot. There is a clip that I will be showing you that shows this actually happening, and this clip is from a movie. This clip is the beginning of the Boston Massacre from the John Adams movie. Someone's yelling fire. So John Adams gave a big quote in the town, the congressman, said now we have to see what's going on in the help. It's going to water. The whole movie starts off with John Adams coming home. John Adams is a big part in the Massachusetts area. He was, back then, he'd be considered what we call now as like a congressman. He was a higher up back then. He came home and his daughter went to the door and heard someone yelling fire. And you saw all the townspeople running. You had the fire department, which was the makeshift, what we would consider a makeshift fire department. The water tips over and all that stuff. He's trying to get water in the bucket because everyone's yelling fire. So everyone's trying to get there. As he's at the second well, he hears gunshots and screaming. And then that's when he goes over to see what was going on and finds out that the British soldiers had shot those select few people there that were the ones throwing the snowballs at him. There's numerous events after this that also led up to the American Revolution. We had the Tea Act. This is when the British government put a tax on tea to upset the colonists. The colonists rebelled against it, which is how the American Revolution basically got going and started. You had the Boston Tea Party, which was held by the Sons of Liberty, which was a group led by Samuel Adams, who was John Adams' brother, where they threw 324 chests of tea into the Boston Harbor in protest of the Tea Act. You also had the Intolerable Acts, which basically the Intolerable Acts were imposed by the British government and people didn't like them. Hence the name Intolerable. They weren't able to be, they couldn't stand them, I should say. Then, going in further up in time, you have the first battle of the Revolution. This all occurs after the Boston Massacre. The Boston Massacre is basically the start of all this, and things just progressively got worse and worse as they went on. The Battle of Lexington and Concord was the first battle of the Revolution. This is where the famous saying, "the shot heard around the world," originated. And I'm sure everyone has heard of the Schoolhouse Rock version of this. I'm going to play about a minute of it.
The British are coming! The British are coming! Now the ride of Paul Revere set the nation on its ear, and the shot at Lexington heard round the world. When the British fired in the early dawn, the War of Independence had begun. The die was cast, the rebel flag unfurled. searching all around. Till our militia stopped them in their tracks. At the old North Bridge we turned them back and chased those redcoats back to Boston town. And the shot heard around the world was the start of the revolution. The Minutemen were ready on the move. Take your powder, take your gun, report to General Washington. Hurry men, there's not an hour to lose. Now at famous fun.
Can anyone tell me what Minutemen are? No? Okay. Minutemen were colonists and residents of an area that had to be ready at a minute's notice if they were called to go to war. Similar to later on in time when we had the draft where you had to be ready, Minutemen were very similar to that. Finally, you had the beginning of the Revolution. This is where there were many battles in the Revolution. To go through all of them, it would take, you could have a whole week, maybe 2 weeks, just to go through everything. Some played more importance than others. One of the battles was the Battle of Bunker Hill. You saw when we stopped the movie, they were just about to talk about Bunker Hill. There were also other major battles at the time, and the most famous battle was the one that ended the war, which is the Battle of Yorktown in Virginia. So, I have a a word search for you guys about the American Revolution. And it just goes through some of the vocab that we talked about. Maybe we didn't talk about it, but later on we will talk about it as we progressively go on.